Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. We're doing a special Labor Day edition since there are some really good stakes races around the country for the Labor Day holiday that we wanted to take a look at. Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Simulcasting. And it wraps up the racing at Saratoga and Del Mar on this holiday weekend. So let's start in New York at Saratoga. And the ninth race is the Grade 2 Bernard Baruch, race with a lot of history on the turf, mile and a 16th for 3-year-olds and up. Where did you go in here?
You know, I wanted to go to Vijack. We've been talking about Vijack all year long. Either you or I have picked him in almost every race he's run. He still hasn't won this year. So I got off Vijack, so I can go to the bank and probably bet him because Junior Alvarado's been having a decent meet at Saratoga and a lot of surprises. So I wouldn't be shocked if Vijack jumped up today. But there's a lot of competition here, and I wound up on the Brazilian-bred Under Control for Graham Motion and Red Ortiz. Never been able to try it this distance. Lost to Charming Kitten at Belmont 2-back, but then turned the tables on him at Saratoga. So you've got a prep race at Saratoga at a mile and 16th on the turf, the Lure, on August the 8th, where Under Control beat Charming Kitten fairly easily. So he's going the right way right now with an 88, 90, 96 buyer progression. I think he's got a big shot here. He's a 7-year-old, but again, he's never been able to try it this distance, including a lot of races in Brazil, of course. But I'm going to take him on top. Constitution is intriguing to me. First time on turf. He absolutely has a lot of talent, but he's had a lot of physical issues as well. He won the Clark, finished third in the Clark last year, and then won the Donna Handicap in February. Haven't seen him since. Fletcher's trying him on the turf here. Don't know about Tappet on the turf, and it looks like they're kind of grasping at straws with him a little bit. Ironicus is my other horse. The one horse was just nipped by Grand Arch in the 4-star day, Grade 2, won back at August 15th. Bring him back fairly quickly here with just maybe a 3-week rest. Castellano takes the ride for Shug, and Shug always gets him ready, so I think Ironicus has a big shot. Under Control is my very tepid favorite here. I think it's one that you need to spread in the pick 4, however.
I ended up taking Ironicus because I think he's still an improving horse. I like the inside draw, as said on our Saturday podcast. I think the inside part of the turf they weren't racing on for a while. They opened it up Travers weekend. Has really been a little bit of an express lane. I'm a little worried about the lack of speed in here, and speed's been really good lately again on the turf at Saratoga. It started to go to Charming Kitten because I think there doesn't appear to be any speed in here. I thought Velasquez could just send Charming Kitten and maybe get to the front. So that one worries me a little bit, but I'm going to go with Ironicus, use him with Charming Kitten, Under Control, and Vijack, the three that you mentioned as well. But Ironicus is the pick for me. The Grade 1 hopeful is the 10th race for 2-year-olds, and we get to see the 2-year-olds here stretch out to 7 furlongs. I was just crushed. I ended up I had Magna Light at 13-1 when he got a really bad DQ, I thought. So I'm not going to take him here. I ended up going to Rallis. This is a Doug O'Neill shipper, which is intriguing. They get Castellano to ride. Of course, made a big improvement in his last. I didn't think there was any superstars among the challengers here. Now, it could be that O'Neill's just shipping this horse because he's got the favorite for the Del Mar Futurity that we'll talk about in a little bit. But I do remember that the last time I can remember O'Neill shipping into Saratoga for a 2-year-old race like this, it was with I'll Have Another. So a horse that he clearly knew had some ability. So I'm going to take Rallis, the 5, use him with Magna Light, Uncle Vinny. They came out of that same race. And then Salislaw and Tom's Ready, they come out of the same race. So it's kind of like if you use one of those, you got to use both in each spot. So I'm going to take Rallis with all 4 of those, and Rallis being my key horse, my win pick for the hopeful. How about you?
Yeah, Magna Light probably will be favored here off that, really the win in the Sanford. It didn't go down as a win. That was a very tough disqualification. They put Uncle Vinny up, and I thought that was a very 50-50 proposition. I won't bet Magna Light at probably 2-1 or 5-2 here. I stuck on Salisaw, and I did look at coming out of the same race as Tom's Ready, but Kieran McLaughlin is a much more accomplished trainer at Saratoga than is Dallas Stewart, so that's why I went with. And Junior Alvarado has had a great meet, so I'm going to take Kieran's horse here, Salisaw. Hopefully, the West Coast shipper won't be as good. I think he's certainly not O'Neill's first string, or he'd leave him out there. And Uncle Vinny and Magna Light are obviously right together. So I think if Salisaw improves off that 76 buyer, he's got a real shot. And I haven't heard McLaughlin talk about this one that much, but I think he's got a real shot at improving. Again, 2-year-old races, who jumps up? They're all decent. They're all nice colts that are improving, and it would be nice for Kieran to get a win on closing day. So I'm going to go with Sally Saw the 2, and I would key Magnolite the 1, Uncle Vinny the 7, and Rallis the 6, just because of Castellano underneath in the trifectas.
Let's go to Presque Isle for their Grade 2 Presque Isle Masters. It's their 5th race on the card. It's the race that Groupie Doll used to win every year, and been several times horses have come out of this race that have won or run second in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. So it's definitely a race you want to keep an eye on. Fillies and Mares 3 and up, 6.5 furlongs on the synthetic track at Presque Isle. Who did you go with?
Well, I was between 2 horses, and then I got on a third one. So the 2 I got off. You sit there and handicap these races, and obviously at Presque Isle, it's one of the few synthetic tracks left, and it's a very tiring racetrack sometimes. Horses that come out of there do well used to do well at Keeneland with them synthetic. We'll see how they do on the dirt. But they always do well shipping to Tampa because they are fit running on that kind of a deep synthetic surface. So I look at horses that have done well in synthetic before, and Lee Court and Ageless ran right together in the Royal North on turf at Woodbine, but both of them are accomplished on synthetic. Lee Court has 4 wins and 6 races on synthetic, so I would take her just barely over Ageless, and then I went to Living the Life. The 3-horse is the defending champ in this race, 7 for 16 on synthetic. Shipped last year from California, obviously loves it here, and they are getting when you've got a synthetic horse based in California, there's only one synthetic track left, and that's Golden Gate. So you ship over here. Gary Mandela ships her over for a piece of the $400,000 purse. She shipped last year from Del Mar, and it worked out well, and I think had a nice prep at Los Alamitos in July. Living the Life is my pick here, the 3-horse shipping from California. I love the fact that Joe Bravo comes in from East Coast to Rider, and I think the shipping angle worked last year, and not a reason that the defending champ can't come back and get a piece of this purse at the Presque Isle Downs Masters.
I ended up going to Ageless, and I'm on the same horse as you are, but I ended up going to Ageless. It looks like she might be better than ever this year. I think she's 6. And Arnaud Delacour, she's only run one time on synthetic in this race last year, but ran well to be 3rd. And I figure if he put her in this spot last year, if he didn't think she could win, there's plenty of grass spots he could have picked. Why bring her back here, except for the fact that maybe he thinks he can win a Grade 2 here. And I think he's a sharp trainer. Le Peru can sit back and finish with her. She was, I think, maybe up on the pace more than she likes to be in this race last year. A little bit of a stretch in distance, but she's done one at this distance before. So I'm going to take the 7 Ageless, make it a little bit of a price. Not a huge price, but better than I think you'll get on Lee Court and Living the Life, who are the main 2 rivals. I think Ageless will probably be the highest price of those 3, would be my guess. And then I'd also use one with Miss Mischief. But 7 Ageless is going to be my key horse. And if you're betting horizontal wagers at Presque Isle, I would use Living the Life, Lee Court, and Ageless, all 3 in multi-race wagers. The 8th race, last one we want to take a look at, is the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity on Labor Day. It's a race that was won by American Pharoah last year. In fact, it was his first victory. He had lost his maiden race, but came back and won this race. 7 furlongs, 2-year-olds, and you've got the aforementioned Doug O'Neill with Nyquist, probably going to be the favorite in here. Baffert's got a couple. Well, who'd you land on?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that Nyquist will be the favorite. I tried to beat him in the best pal with Swipe, and it was no contest. Nyquist won by 5 1/4 and just pulled away and probably could have won by more. So Nyquist is my pick here, but he's certainly not going to be a bargain. He went off at even money in the best pal. I don't know that it'll be even money here because blaming on the law, the 7's going to get a lot of play off that flashy buyer. It was an easy win in the maiden special weight at Del Mar last out. So John Sadler has had a 21% training record at Del Mar for this meet, so he's done well. Nyquist looks like if he takes another step forward, they're not going to beat him. And Swipe did not take a step forward like I expected him to in the best pal. And I don't know, he drifted out in the stretch. I don't know if he got tired. That was first time to 6.5 furlongs, and now they stretch out to 7. So I don't think I'll take another shot at Swipe. If I'm going to beat Nyquist, it would be with Blame It on the Law, the 7. A couple intriguing horses in here. Baffert's got Nightly News, who didn't run that great first out. and nobody liked him. He went off at 10-1, and for a Baffert horse to go off at 10-1 in a maiden special weight, he probably was not expected to run well. He wasn't working that great in the way he buzzed, but he only got beat by half length. He'd have to jump up in the buyer category, but you never know with Baffert's 2-year-olds. So maybe he'd give him a shot, but Nyquist is my pick, the 3-horse.
I'm going to take Blame It on the Law.
5-horse.
No, 5-horse Nyquist.
Yes.
I'm going to take the 7, Blame It on the Law. As a son of Arch, he ought to love stretching out to 7 furlongs from 5.5. You mentioned the buyer was an 88, and this horse sold for 16 times his stud fee at a 2-year-olds in training sale earlier this year. So that tells you he was pretty special in the workouts for that sale. So he ran to that kind of performance, and I'm going to take him to come right back and win this. Use him in exactas with Nyquist and Swipe coming out of that same race. And Nightly News, I think, interests me a little bit because Baffert's there at Del Mar. He sees how impressive Blame It on the Law was. He sees how impressive Nyquist was. And he puts a horse that is a maiden into a grade 1 like he did with Faro last year. And the horse comes off a 35 and change work. And got the rail and Bejarano, and there's just a lot that looks kind of dangerous at what's going to be a better price. I remember I bet Faro in this race last year. He was like 7-1 when I bet him, and he went off at like 5-2. But you still got a great price. And I'm going to definitely be using Nightly News. But Blame It on the Law, the 7 is going to be my pick in the Del Mar Futurity. Best of luck with your wagers for the Labor Day card. Some great racing on the holiday. And don't forget, Kentucky Downs is racing now, so you can play those races on the weekend. And during the week, I think there are 4 more racing cards coming up there. And then Keeneland's just about a month away. For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach. Happy Labor Day from the Keeneland Select podcast and the In the Money podcast at KeenelandSelect.com.